Hey, it's Cleve. Let me take you through the painting process for my latest painting, Hemingway's Bedroom. Now, we start out, it's a little sketchy because it's out of focus and laying it out, but stick with it. Everything will come into focus and hope you enjoy it. So, here's my reference photo today I'll be working off, and this is in Photoshop Elements instead of Photoshop. I can talk to you about that some other time about the difference between the two and why I use this one, but put that down in the comments. And let me show you my palette. Okay, here's my palette for today. At the bottom left, I have titanium white. Top left, I have Winsor & Newton's permanent crimson, permanent alizarin crimson. To the right, permanent red medium from Rembrandt, then yellow ochre from Rembrandt, and Naples yellow from Rembrandt. And then the green there is chromium oxide green from Gamblin, the ultramarine deep from Rembrandt, the burnt sienna from Utrecht up at the top right. And in the middle there, on the right hand side, I've got burnt umber and ultramarine deep, and I like to mix those to get it together to get my darkest dark. And finally at the bottom you'll see I have my that string of gray, that's cold gray from Rembrandt. For my medium today, I'll be using walnut alkyd medium. The panel I'll be using to paint today is a 12 by 16 ACM panel. I prepared it with 3 coats of acrylic gesso, and then you can see the pencil lines there. I've divided it in equal thirds, both vertically and horizontally. So looking forward to it. All right, so as advertised, I have my out of focus lay-in here, but I'm drawing while looking at the reference on the computer screen, just kind of getting a feel for where everything in the painting is. And in just a moment you'll see me start laying in a little bit of color, and that's really the local color. I don't know if the term local color really refers to, as a good example, if you were to say, hey, what color is an apple? You would say, well, it's red. And if you, upon closer examination, a red apple is not totally red, it's just red and orange and yellows and browns and maybe a little bit of green. But the local color is red, and so I know kind of the colors I'm going to be laying down here are the base colors during this block in, and it gives you somewhere to start from as you go back in. Now I've got about 30 more seconds of out of focus, and then we'll snap back in here. I really like the brush I'm using. It's a natural bristle brush that's great for lay-in and hold a good amount of paint. And the paint I've got thinned down with just a little bit of walnut alkyd medium, and we've got a touch of Gamsol. Look, now we're all in focus. So just laying in those local colors for the piece. And now I got this reference from, I was watching a PBS documentary on Hemingway, and I was watching on my iPad and just doing those screen captures, and I really love just the feel of this bedroom of Ernest Hemingway's. It's out of his farmhouse that he had in Cuba. And it's a great documentary, and I love the feeling of the light coming into the bedroom. There's actually 2 sources of light in the bedroom. There's the main source of light coming through on the left-hand side of the painting. That's what's causing, you'll see those dashes somewhere there in the midground on the just off center. That's light coming through the window and the shutters, and that sets up the whole painting for light coming in the room. And behind his bed, kind of the headboard of his bed, is a bookcase, and the sun is also streaking down the bookcase and lighting the books, and it's a beautiful feeling, airy feeling that was created. And I said, well, that would make a think a great painting. Now the background there is really, there wasn't great detail in the reference, which made it very nice to paint from, because you could really use your imagination. And in that room, or a couple of rooms behind or down the hallway there, they're really just color shapes and just some notes of things that are going on in there, and leads to kind of a bit of mystery back there about what's actually in the back room. And as the paint kind of tacks up, go back into it, lay some more paint down, and I really begin to build up that surface with paint. And it's not an idea. This isn't paint by numbers, so you're not going in and having to exactly match what you had laid down before. As long as you're close in color, but nicely, very close in value. That is, how dark or light the color is. You get some nice broken color in the walls and the floor. Floor kind of comes off looking like hardwood floor, and I like that. But the floor in the actual bedroom, I think it was tile, like a clay tile floor. So I imagine in Cuba, kept the home cooler, allowed it to absorb the cool air, and then kind of provide some nice cooling for the room. The thermal mass of the tile floors. I think the hallway kind of just makes you want to go down it. You see it. You see there's a light down the hallway, and the light coming through. Makes you really. I'd love to visit his farmhouse there. I would tell you the Spanish name for it, but I know I would butcher it, and then I get comments. Maybe I should butcher it so I'll get comments. Anyway, the bed was just a white sheets on, and then the covering for the bed was that ultramarine blue, and it just makes a very nice contrast. And I love the bookcase so I just have to describe the books in shapes and colors. It's no doubt when as I get closer to the finish that those are all books along the back of the bed. And I don't have to paint individual books. I just have to give the feeling of the books there. And you'll really see it when the sun starts, or the effect of the sunlight going down the books and then striking the bed covers, in particular the pillow on the left-hand side. I think really helps establish the mood. And that light, the light that's coming through the shutters, I wasn't interested in getting it perfect or anything else. It's just the idea, because I think if you on some of these things you can get more and more perfect, and then they just become more and more stale. And to get something that your eye can be interested in, and your eye will go around and look at the different parts of the painting, I think are much more enjoyable for the viewer. Now you can start to get the idea of those are books in the background. That particular thing right there is a water pitcher next to his bed. And if I didn't tell you that, you probably wouldn't know that. It's just a shape. It's just a shape with dark and light, a hint of a handle, and some books stacked up on the nightstand as well. There we go. I like the feeling of the room and the way that it, the airiness of it, and the way the light strikes the door and in the back. You really feel like you can walk into the piece, or at least that's the that's the feeling that I wanted to leave with the viewer. I enjoy seeing the hand of the artist in the paintings that I like, and that's what I want to put in my own paintings. So while I could strike absolutely straight lines, horizontals and verticals, I actually like when they're not quite perfect. And people will say sometimes, "Ah, it looks like a painting," and artists, a lot of painters kind of bristle at that. No, it doesn't look like a painting. Or look like a photograph, I'm sorry. It looks like a photograph. And no, a painting, I like when a painting looks like a painting and a photograph looks like a photograph. There is a skill, I know, to reproducing a photograph in paint. But for me, I'm just not interested. I can stand back and say, wow, that's a great technical skill, or it must have taken a lot of time and those kind of things, but it doesn't hold an interest for me in the things that I want to do. That floor, I enjoyed painting that and leaving that. Oh, here's the appearance of the mahl stick. MAHL. That's actually, I went to the local big box store. For me, that's Lowe's. Not a Lowe's sponsored video, though I'm open to anything. But that's actually just a 3-foot piece of aluminum. You can go buy it at your Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware probably, and makes a nice place to rest your hand if you get to an area that your shaky hand just might mess up something you want to be careful about. I don't have a tip on it. I haven't put anything on the end of it, so that's all it is a rod. And I think it's a 1/4 inch diameter on the rod, maybe 3/8. But it's very handy. It's not heavy because it's aluminum. It's sturdy enough. It doesn't bend. And if I'm out painting plein air, I can use it to fend off a bear. That's my plan. Or if I go out with someone else, I'll just make sure I'm painting with someone that's much slower than I am, if we have to run. Although, we'll be honest, it's going to be difficult to find someone slower than me. Okay, so I think you're getting the sense of the sunlight now, striking those books and coming down and hitting the tops of the pillows. There's a little bit of, I use that full-on titanium white in just a few places to highlight the contrast and bring your eye in. But for most of the sheets, I'm actually lightening it with that Naples yellow. It's really a nice yellow. It's got a warm tone to it, and without being garish, you could slap you some yellow or cadmium yellow on something, and then it just starts to overpower. But that Naples yellow is real subtle, and it allows you to really work your values and be kind of selective and very subtle in your values. There we go. I'm working on the bedspread now. And the bedspread, I used that ultramarine deep on the front, the very foreground, and that really anchors that bedspread to that bottom corner. There we go. Anchors the bedspread, and then just lighten the value along for the top of the bed, and I think gives a nice convincing. You can tell it's the foot of the bed, and then a little bit into the covers as they're rolled over. Didn't go crazy with any kind of modeling. Just let you know that that's a bed, and it's got a lot of covers and it's comfortable. But and back up, behind the door is where the light is striking that wall, and I kind of scumble in some light back there, and then a dark green over here. And once again, using that paper towel, you can really work your values, and gives a real, I think, helps you focus in down where that light is and where that sunlight is, and really the point I was going for. So I'll be finishing up here in a second, and we'll take a look at it, see how this thing turns out. All right, last little bit there. There we go. All right, that's the finished piece, and let's see how this thing looks in a frame. So here's the final painting sitting in its frame. I'll give it a few more days to look at it and see if there's anything I really care about changing. And I think I'm satisfied with the way that turned out. So I'll have it up on my website in a few days. And if you'd like to make it your own, by all means do that. Hey, hopefully you can see me, but if you'd like to see more content like this, let me know in the comments. I've got some other links in the comments as well, or in the description below. Check those out, and can't wait to see you here next time. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.